Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
For those who don't know, I started my career in public accounting. I was a tax consultant. I went to the Ohio State University. I got a law degree. I got an MBA. They have a joint degree program. I don't know what possessed me to do it. It just sounded cool. But I got this job, public accounting. I was a tax consultant. And Coopers & Lybrand, which is now part of Price Waterhouse, was one of the big six. It's one of the big four then. But Coopers was the largest accounting firm in Columbus at the time, and it occupied 5 floors. I think it was the top 5 floors of what's now the Chase building. It was the Bank One building. And I'm kind of a chatty person, if you know me, and I knew everybody at that firm. I knew everybody. I don't want to say I knew everybody's business, but I knew who people were, and I knew how things worked, and I knew what the auditors needed and the people who were the actuarial benefits department. And there was just all sorts of different things. And I was, always talking to my clients about different things, and they called it cross-selling. And I thought I was the bomb, right? I thought I was it because I was just so well connected. And then one point I decided, I'm going to leave and go into private practice because I really didn't want to do taxes for the rest of my life. And if I need to explain that to most of you, I shouldn't need to explain that to most of you. But at any rate, I left. And I realized that I knew nobody. And it's not that I didn't know anybody that was the problem. The real problem is that I didn't have a mechanism for meeting people. Because when you went to work every day and everybody showed up to those 5 floors, it was kind of a captive networking audience. And outside of, and this is the mid 90s, so there's no LinkedIn, there's no nothing, not even a cell phone. There you don't have that nucleus of people that you can come into. So I really struggled. And I wished back then I knew today's guest, Tom Fleming, and he's been helping business owners make more money, save time, and have lots of fun in the process by introducing them to the concept of defining and refining their referral marketing plan. And what Tom has shared with me is that, and most small business people know this, we don't have $1 million advertising budgets. You might have a 7-figure advertising budget, but you count the decimal points at that point. But we don't have these budgets, so we don't have to just be good at networking and relationship development. We need to be exceptional. And that's where Tom comes in. Since 1999, he's been a master trainer and facilitator with Ascentive, which he'll share about with us. And he also speaks in person and virtually across the globe. Undergraduate degree, Boston University. Go Terriers, I think. Is that correct? Boston University?
That is correct, yes.
And then an MBA from Babson College. And for those who don't know, Babson College is the #1 entrepreneurial school in the country. Last I checked, they were right up there. So, Tom, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Frank. You're so much fun. Babson for many years in a row has been noted as a great school for entrepreneurship. But we're here to talk about networking today.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Frank, I had to unlearn a lot of what I learned in business school to be successful as an entrepreneur.
How so? That's interesting.
Well, in business school, they're teaching you via the case method. And you're looking at companies that are very large.
Yeah.
They have advertising budgets. They've got capital. And the professor is asking you, what's wrong with this situation? So you get out of school, you decide to be an entrepreneur, and you don't have any money for an advertising budget. And when you start to spend money as a brand new entrepreneur on advertising, you go in the hole very quickly.
Yeah.
The other thing that business school taught me that I had to totally overcome as an entrepreneur is business school taught me how to look at everything in terms of why it's not going to work. What's wrong with this company? What's wrong with this decision? What's wrong with this scenario? As an entrepreneur, you need to shift your mindset completely and start asking yourself what's possible, what's right.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're absolutely right. Let's back up. I know you were an executive director with BNI for a while before you, an incentive is kind of a sister company, if you will. There's an association there. What led you? I mean, you didn't graduate college and get a job being an executive director with BNI, and that's a kind of a franchise position, if you will. What did you do before? I mean, you indicated you got into entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I spent my first 10 years out of college in corporate America. I figured, learn what mistakes I needed to make on someone else's dime. And then I started a couple of companies. One was a vending machine company, and another one was a distribution company. And I wasn't long into it. I had a candy machine in a florist shop. And the
Mm-hmm.
florist said, "Why don't you come to this meeting?" And oh my God, it was hilarious. I walked in the room, there was people there. They told me I was going to have to stand up and speak, and I panicked, absolutely. But I got involved in BNI, and for whatever reason, the executive director at the time saw that I might have some potential. And I worked with her up in the Boston area from 1996 to 2002. And my parents had retired to Florida. In 2002, my dad passed.
Mm.
And so I'm an only child. So that left my mom down in Florida and me up in the Boston area. So I asked the gentleman who owned the BNI Tampa franchise, would you ever have interest in selling? And he said yes. And gosh, my mom and I worked together
Oh, great. Yeah.
probably 16 years as we grew the BNI franchise. And I think franchising is a wonderful model. I know you own a franchise, Frank, and more power to you, because what you're doing is you're giving people a system to impact their lives and thousands of other people's lives.
Yeah.
And I think you know, well, I'm going to say this with a little bit of risk. You're doing God's work in God's way. Um,
I can
yeah,
appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
no, thank you. I take that as, I'm not an overly religious person. I tell people I'm a B minus Catholic, right?
Likewise. Yeah.
I know I need to go to church. I can't tell you what's going on any given Sunday. So anyhow, no, thank you very much. What's the definition of networking? And people,
Yeah, to me, a lot of folks have it wrong. They think that it's about getting out there and meeting 1,000 people, knowing 1,000 people, having them in your database or your CRM. But really, those folks, they're positioning themselves to have a very weak network. And what I mean by that is they know a lot of people, but they haven't taken the relationship to the like and trust
yeah,
level. Yeah. I use an analogy a lot of times, Frank, with the temperature of water. I say, you know, what's the temperature of a great hot tub temperature? 97 degrees, 98 degrees. What's the temperature of a cup of tea? 211 degrees. Okay. What's the temperature of boiling water? 212 degrees.
right.
Boiling water produces steam. Steam is a form of energy. You can run a locomotive, you can run a
Yeah.
turbine engine with it. That's the point where we want to get our relationships to, where there's an exchange of energy back and forth, of reciprocity. And so again, it's not about knowing 1,000 people. It might be about interviewing a number of people to see if they have the ability to be on your team and you have the ability to be on their team. I think your best referral partners are going to be the people that have the time to help you and the resources to help you.
Yeah.
What do I mean by resources? They're in a non-competing industry that serves the exact same target market, which basically means they have a pocket full of referrals for you and you have a pocket full of referrals for them. It's like the relationship between the accountant, the banker, the CPA, the estate planning attorney. Um, they're all in non-competing industries, but they're serving the exact same target market.
Yeah, I call it people running in the same circle selling different things.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm referring to. And so it's not about building a bunch of shallow relationships. It's about building a depth of relationship with the right people.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's so true. And I don't think you have any risk of running out of business because somewhere along the way, people are just taught the wrong way or not taught at all.
Yeah.
Business schools, they teach accounting, they teach marketing, they teach logistics, they teach, finance. They teach the left brain stuff, right? It's the hard stuff. But it's the easy stuff because you can look it all up. It's this right brain relationship stuff is super difficult because there's an infinite number of possibilities, even dealing with the same person, because every day is different. Trying to build these relationships.
Yes. Yes. And by the way, we're talking about building referral relationships.
Right.
Another challenge that many new networkers have, or people who haven't received, you know, relationship marketing coaching, is their strategy is more face-to-face cold calling, or getting on a Zoom call and trying to sell someone. When I'm networking, I'm not looking for prospects. That's not networking to me.
Right.
That's selling. When I'm networking, I'm looking for those people who have interest and the time to support me, and they're in a non-competing industry serving the same target market or running in the same circles, as you say.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And I find it interesting that to me it's so intuitive.
Yeah.
But for other people it's not. And I don't want to call it greed. Um, they well, it's the pressures of life, right? They've got to pay the bills. They've got a boss that wants them to hit quota, and I had a guy on my podcast and he shared the story. He's over in the UK. He's he drinks the Kool-Aid you and I drink, right? I mean, he's just all
Mhm.
about building relationships.
Yeah.
And his whole job was tasked with finding people to do consulting in big call centers.
Mhm.
And his boss sat him down and said, "Hey, listen, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to change. You just need to just get out there and just cold call these managers and VPs of these call centers." And he says, "Well, I'm really kind of in the networking thing. It's just like I'm building relationships with people who can give me a warm introduction."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, stop that. Stop that nonsense. Don't be silly." And so he's like, "Okay, what are you going to do?" He's the person who is in charge of the paycheck. Perfectly scripted. Within a month, he got a call from somebody, got them an engagement, and the boss called him in and said, "Well, how'd this happen?" He said, "Well, like I told you, I'd been building this relationship for years, and it finally came to fruition." He said, "Well, get back doing that then." you know,
Wow. Wow.
but just, it amazes me people aren't in tune to that.
You do speak some truth in terms of the fact that if you're brand new to business, you need to get out there and get the business.
Yeah.
You need to get the business. Referral-based marketing is not a get-rich-quick scheme.
No.
Um, People say to me, well, should I take your program? I'm brand new to business. And, my sense is I'm not sure, because
Yeah.
I don't know your financial situation. If you need to make 3 grand a month starting this month, no, don't take our program. If you've got a long-term view of your business, you have a vision for your business, yeah, start building relationships because 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, um, your marketing life is going to become so much easier because the business will come to you. And I, I want to talk about your organization for a minute, Frank. Um, People, in my opinion, they circle what I call the networking toilet bowl.
Hmm.
Okay. They come into an organization, they spend a year in that organization, and in that year, they build visibility, know, like, and trust. We call it visibility, credibility, profitability. They spend a whole year building all kinds of visibility and credibility in that organization. The anniversary comes up and they say, this isn't working for me. And they go join another group.
Yeah.
And they spend a year in that group and they do the same thing to get the same results, no results. Okay. And they go, and that's the circling of the networking toilet bowl
Yeah.
because they were right on the cusp of profitability. They were right on the cusp of all the other people in that group saying, okay, Tom's going to stick with us. He's in this for the long term. Okay. He's all right. We're going to refer to him. It's it's the relationship development
Yeah.
process. I
Yeah.
mean,
No, you're right. You're right. And it's not everybody.
right.
And there are people who have been around for a while who try to coach people through that.
Yeah.
Um, but again, when you have a boss or you have personal aspirations, and you know, it's what they don't see is that it's really kind of climbing your life to a plateau. It's a learning curve. And once
Yeah.
you've established that learning curve of having relationships, it's like you never really fall back. You don't you're there. You've got the relationships, but then they do start over. Yeah, I talk to people and they commiserate. I had a conversation with a guy who's down near in Miami. He just went on and asked about what I did. I said, well, it's kind of like BNI, and that was just the trigger point. He just went off on BNI.
Oh boy.
And yeah, it just went on and BNI and AmSpirit, we're birds of a feather, right? I mean, we're kind of the same sort of a thing.
Yeah.
And I've had that sort of person. He never gave it a chance. He never gave it a chance.
Yeah. I mean, an organization, there's actually 7 different types of networking organizations out there that we teach. And some organizations are a fit for some personalities, while
Yep.
others aren't a fit. And yes, if you're a very unstructured person, uh, an organization like BNI probably isn't going to work for you. It doesn't fit your personality, your
Right.
natural style. There's other organizations that would fit
Yeah.
one's style like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree. Totally agree.
I just want to point out that, when people point the finger, there's
Right.
3 fingers pointing back at them.
Yeah.
As they rotate through all these organizations, the only thing that's common to all of those situations is them.
Yeah.
And so I often, when I feel like pointing the finger, I often say to myself, wait a minute, I need to take responsibility for my own personal success. What do I need to do to adapt, to shift, to change in order to make this process work for me?
Yeah. No, it is. We're the only person who can control what goes on in our life. I mean, as far as that. I can't control what somebody gives me, right? I get this question all the time. Well, what happens if somebody doesn't, you do something for somebody, they don't do something back? I, I don't let it bother me. I mean, it's, maybe I don't give to them anymore, but I'm not going to stop giving. I'm just going to keep giving, because when I'm giving to people, it's not just the person I'm giving to, but it's the person I'm referring that's being helped. Oh, you need a financial advisor? Here's a financial advisor. I'm helping two people, really. So in a way, networking is kind of a foreign concept in today's business world, but the whole notion of relationships is as old as one of my friends says, as old as dirt.
Yes, yeah,
You know?
it really is. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's shift gears here a little bit if we can, Tom. I would like you to talk about Ascentive, and the types of work you do, the types of people that can engage with you, um, and certainly how people can get a hold of you. But people will be very interested. I get people on with all sorts of different organizations and different offerings, and this is I know I had Tiffany on. I don't think we ever really talked about Ascentive. So please.
Uh, sure. Ascentive is not a networking organization. It's a training company that works with entrepreneurs that rely on referrals to grow their business. We have various programs that we offer. We have a fun 3-hour program called, um, well, it's about the disc profile. And
Okay.
it's about uh, how to understand your behavioral style and other people's behavioral style that you're networking with. So you can follow not the golden rule, but the platinum rule with them. Treat others the way they want to be treated. And then our flagship course is called Ignite Your Business. In my mind, it's literally a college level course. I wish colleges and universities taught relationship marketing,
Yeah.
but they do. And it's
Well,
college.
actually, Tom, not to interrupt, I'm glad they don't, because then you might be out of business, right? I mean, you make a killing out of the things that they don't do. But anyhow, go ahead.
I need to change my paradigm on that, Frank.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, but meets over a 10-week period, and soup to nuts, participants walk out with a referral-based marketing strategy. And because of that, they're more focused with their marketing, which saves them time. They're more focused with their marketing, which saves them money, and they have more fun
Yeah.
because let's face it, building relationships, saving time, and making more money is fun.
It,
Um,
isn't it rewarding for you? I mean, this is a rhetorical question, but I'll ask it anyways and let you tee off on it. When the light bulb goes off in somebody's mind, when that person who's just said they're hardcore, I'm going to close, anybody's in front of me kind of a thing, all of a sudden just gets it. Oh my God.
People have asked me, Tom, how do you keep teaching the same programs since 1999? I'm like, it ain't about the programs,
Yeah.
pardon me. It's about the fact that we're exposing a new group of people to this body of knowledge that is going to transform their business and transform their lives. And that to me is more exciting than anything else I could do with my life. It's part of my purpose, part of my mission.
A quick question. Is much of this done virtually? So you're in Florida, somebody in Seattle, Washington could participate with you, or do you have a territory, or all of the
Uh,
above?
no, all of our sessions are virtual.
Okay.
Uh, so and they're scheduled. One thing I can do for people with immediacy is my email address is Tom F as in Frank, at ascentive.com, ASENTIV.com. Is we have this fantastic assessment that people can answer a group of questions in about 10 minutes. It's about their referral marketing strategy, their results. And then I'll pop on a Zoom with them for a half an hour and we'll review their strengths and any opportunities they might have with their current referral marketing strategy. And I love doing those meetings because, as you said, I always share some hints, tips, tricks, and insights, and the light bulbs go on.
Yeah,
People can also catch up to me via LinkedIn, Tom Fleming, MBA.
Well, I appreciate your time on the program today. This has been great. Tom Fleming with Ascentive. If interested, reach out to him. There's a lot of great things there. Certainly networking organizations. I'm fond of those, but I'm also fond of saying that AmSpirit, BNI, networking, it's not for everybody. There are some people who they don't need that, don't want that, but you do need to network and you do need to understand building relationships. So appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Frank. You're a great host.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.